You eat a lot of food, so you overeat, and you almost, sometimes it can be extremely premeditated. You make yourself sick, and then that's the release of, it's almost, even though I love to hate it in a way, or I hate to love it, it's never gone away, and I don't think it ever will do either. I look in the mirror and pretty much loathe what I see at the moment, and I'd say, which is really sad, I think I'll never meet someone because I'm fat. Now I feel emotional because it feels like no one will love me just the way that I am. The fact I even bothered writing into you just screams to me that I need to find a way, or my subconscious is, something's got to happen.
When did you last look in the mirror and feel okay?
Never.
You've never done that?
No.
So I'd like you to do something for me.
Okay.
Like now. Which is, if you go out this door, turn right, somewhere down there's a bathroom. I'd like you to go and look in the mirror. Tell me what happens.
Yeah, I feel completely different. Yeah.
You look completely different.
Yeah. Like, it was weird. Like, I literally felt...
Where's that old Katie gone?
I literally felt like, in a way, nothing. It was just almost silent. There wasn't anything in the back of my head saying, so it was quite peaceful. If you haven't got anything there, you've got nothing to worry about. So I didn't feel anxious or worried or anything. Yeah, completely different.
And you said a few minutes ago you can't remember ever doing that.
No, never. Never, ever in my life. I mean, if I could wake up and see that in the mirror every day, I think I'd be happy.
This old thing, since a teenager into adulthood, you had bulimia. You would eat lots of food and then you would vomit, sometimes several times a day.
Yeah.
Okay. How have you been since we met?
It was quite funny watching that, because to me now it seems completely ridiculous, and it's very difficult to explain just how it's gone, completely gone, vanished. That desire and that monster and that fear literally just goes.
So, Katie, welcome along. So, what's going on? There's some things you want to change. Would that be a correct assumption?
Yes, that's correct.
So, what's going on with you?
I have an eating disorder, and since I was about 15, I have struggled with this eating disorder, which is called bulimia, and it's something that I don't seem to be able to control in any way, it used to be a lot worse, and now sometimes it just comes and it's like, the only way I could really describe it is like some sort of like crazy animal comes out of you, like when the full moon rises or something, and then something will trigger that, and I can never put my finger on it, but it's never ever, whether it goes in waves of the control, it has never gone away. It's always lurking in the background, and that fear of this monster that's going to come out, and I don't know why it's there, and feel quite unhappy that it is.
So so somebody gave you this word, bulimia, and then the way that manifests itself is when this all happens, what happens? You eat tons of stuff in a short period of time.
It's really sort of an illness, I imagine, but you eat a lot of food, so you overeat, and you almost, sometimes it can be extremely premeditated. So you'll go to the supermarket and you'll buy lots of, horrible, unhealthy foods that you wouldn't normally eat. And then you eat them all, and then you make yourself sick, and then that's the release of, it's almost, even though I love to hate it in a way, or I hate to love it. I don't know the expression, but yeah, that's doesn't happen all the time, but I've had it since I was about 15. And as a child, I was quite overweight, I was quite fat as a child as well. And it has never gone away, and I don't think it ever will do either. And I think that's a massive concern for me, because it means I can't have a healthy relationship with food. Like, it's scared, like the whole thing scares me. Food scares me. Probably because I can't control myself around it.
Do the people who care about you know that this has been going on?
Not really. I mean, when I was... No. So my family kind of know that it used to happen, but I've never... I think they don't. They think it doesn't affect my life anymore. But it does. And it's something that I just can't seem to... I've never managed to get rid of.
Well, everything you're describing is an unconscious behaviour.
Yeah.
It's coming from your unconscious, your subconscious mind. You don't consciously say, you know what, tomorrow at 2 o'clock, I'll start kicking in this behaviour and going and buying the food and that kind of thing. It's all coming from your unconscious. You've tried to control that, you've got frustrated at it, and that makes you feel even worse, so that you've got the problem and the fact you can't control it. Well, the reason you can't control it is because that part of you is driving the bus kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's in charge. The way to get a behaviour to shift is to develop an understanding and a relationship with that part of you, and appreciate that it's probably, well, I can predict it's doing that behaviour for good reasons. And you know what? In a weird way, you wouldn't actually even want that behaviour to change until those good reasons have been met in some alternative way, because whatever's driving this is probably at the core of who you are and what you are.
Yeah. And
the nice thing about it is when you find those alternatives, which we're going to do, it's like you know, if you drive to work and it takes an hour to get half a mile down the street because, like, you know, traffic's like horrific, and you do that every single day for 10 years, and then one day you find this new route and there's no traffic and it takes 7 minutes. Why would you ever go down that old route again? So it's just about finding new ways and I'm going to guess that, you know, your brain learnt to do this at an earlier age and just needs to update the software a little bit, really. So just take me back to when did was it? By the way, was this ever not a problem? Like, you didn't arrive in the world like saying, "Where's the fridge?"
I think as just, you know, I've thought about this since we did the original course together, and sort of thought about, there were times when I was 4 or 5 years old at school, like wondering, like thinking to myself, why am I bigger than all the other children? Or I can't run as fast as those children. And that's quite interesting. Don't really have any memories from home or anything like that, but definitely have really strong memories of like looking at the other kids and thinking, and when I look back at pictures, I don't think I wasn't a chubby 4, 5, 6, 7-year-old. I probably was like a tiny bit bigger fractionally than these other kids, but it really was a big deal in my head as a child. And, you know, I couldn't run as fast as them, or I couldn't do like the fitness things in the same way that they could. And I didn't really understand why was I different. And then I just think I got a lot bigger as a teenager, but I just ate very unhealthily. And then I think this was, I don't know, maybe something that I discovered one day that maybe gave me some hope or something towards being able to control something. So I didn't really know any better in a way. I didn't really have anyone to sort of show me what to do or promise that it would be better one day.
Mm-hmm. So going back to when you were like, so you looked at the other kids at school, because I had the same, I was crap at sports at school, like running and all this other thing. And I spent all that time thinking, like, I should, exactly the same thing, because I'm quite like driven towards success and things. And then I just one day realised that wasn't my thing in life. I had other things in life. So I did get quite fast at running, but it was only running out of the school and like away from school to go and do anything else other than be at school. So it sounds like, the thing is, when you're very young, the brain generalises, and looks around. The way our brain is designed is we have to decide what everything means. It's like if a big lion came into this room, you'd need to decide what it meant pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So our brain does that all the time, and in doing that, it can make generalizations. It can make it can make a mistake. I mean, some people, they could be 3 or 4 years old, and they could be a loud clap of thunder, and they could see somebody they love who hates thunder freak out.
Yeah.
And their brain needs to decide what that means, and they decide it means thunder is bad. So for the rest of their life, whenever they hear thunder, they kind of freak out. But it's a mistake. It's a generalization. It sounds like it's possible that your brain made a bit of a generalization and decided. It sounds like you decided you were fat before you actually were. But because you decided it and then believed it, you then kind of manifested it by acting, by following that. And beliefs are powerful things. When you form a belief, people's beliefs drive their life, and people will drive aeroplanes into tall buildings because of beliefs.
Yeah.
So beliefs are incredibly powerful, but the interesting thing is they are learned, as you've just described, at quite an early age. The nice thing is we can go back and we can kind of reprogram that belief, so we'll do that as well. But it sounds like you... See, this is all making perfect sense to me. I think you should give your brain a little bit more credit. I think you're smarter than you think. It's just the strategy it came up with. We'd have liked a different strategy. But the strategy actually makes perfect logical sense. You decided you were fat, so you then followed through on that belief and became what you decided you were. You didn't like that, and you wanted to control it, so you looked for something very effective at controlling it, and you came up with some extreme behaviours that did actually control it. So there's a bizarre logic to all of this. The fact that it's created a situation in your life that you find horrible, we understand and we empathise with, but this is all encouraging because it tells me that your brain and your mind and your unconscious is just trying to do the right thing by you. It's just trying to, it's done its best, and yeah. And you've got to this point now where you're basically saying, well, I appreciate you've done your best, but it's time to, because we've got all these other great things going on. And think about this. It sounds like you're doing really well in all these other things, and you're very smart in your business and your life and all the rest of it. You're clearly a very intelligent person. You've achieved all this good stuff with all this stuff going on. Imagine if all that stuff wasn't going on, and we put that energy over here, because you said at the beginning you got a wild side. So what about if the wild side started applying some of it over here? Did you ever like yourself?
Not sure. Sometimes I think I'm pretty cool, but then, the majority of the time, I don't. I think it's that giving myself a hard time. I can't remember a specific time when, decided to dislike myself. I just, it's pretty, fat at school, and that came, with it quite a lot of bullying and stuff like that. But I can't think of a specific time. Yeah, I find myself, I look in the mirror and pretty much loathe what I see at the moment. And I'd say, which is really sad, but I do. And I don't know, it's this weird concept, and it's weird when you vocalise it, because these are all just feelings. Mm-hmm. They're just feelings. They're just, I don't sit there and logic them. I just feel a certain way. I think I'll never meet someone because I'm fat. This now I feel emotional because it feels like no one will love me just the way that I am. I don't know why I feel that. It's ridiculous.
Well, it's logically ridiculous. Anyone who met you would say it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you've been doing this for a long time, so
Yeah.
you're kind of quite good at it.
Yeah.
We haven't got any tissue. You can use that.
It's fine. Yeah. So, I don't know, maybe it's got something to do with being loved or what have you. I don't know. I think if that was anything to make me have emotions, I think that's what stirs the most emotions in me. I remember when I was at my mum's, I went to see a counsellor, and I went to see him, and I just spent the whole time in tears, and I felt left seeing him worse than I did when I went in. I was like, I just thought to myself, well, that's not really talking about it or putting. I just didn't really felt it helped me. You know, I don't know, it was psychoanalyst or something. I was just, I'm a nut. You know, what's the point in talking about it, coming out and feeling, drawing all these emotions that just make me feel worse? It's like, oh, you know, my parents potentially, you know, weren't around very much as a child, but really that's not awful. It's not,
Right.
You know, like as an adult, it's not really that bad. I think I have been doing my whole life to come and find things that I'm always seeking things out. And when I came and saw you both on the entrepreneurial summit, and then when we did this thing, I kind of felt that this might be the one key. This is the only thing that connected to me, and like I understood it. And seen, I mean, I think I'm doing these things. The fact I even bothered writing into you just screams to me that I need to find a way, or my subconscious is something's got to happen other than just going to the gym, because that's not going to work for me.
One other way to think about, we said that what you believe about yourself drives everything. But a belief really is a decision that we make.
Yeah.
To believe a certain thing. And there has to be a time when we decided that for the first time. So you didn't come into this world thinking you were fat.
No.
No. You made a decision one day that was going to be. So if I was to ask your unconscious mind, how old were you when you made that decision? What would come up?
It must be, I think, I've thought about it, but it must be in the queue. We were queuing up to go into the school dinners, and I just was sort of like there, and I sort of decided, oh, why is everyone else thinner than me?
Okay, and how old were you then?
I must have been I was at lower school, so maybe, I don't know, how old you'd be, like 6, 7 or something?
Okay, so do this, close your eyes for a minute, go up above your timeline, and zip back to that first event when you made that decision, but stay way up above it. So it's way down there below you. Okay? So that event is down there below you. Now go down into that event and tell me what's going on.
Okay, well, not really much. I mean, there's the school wall. We're queuing up to, there's probably about 15 or 20 of us. Like, I'm halfway in the middle. Can't really see any talking or anything like that. The school playground's there. I suppose I'm waiting to go and we're going to get dinner maybe, which is a bit interesting in terms of, I'm not thinking about this just in the classroom. We're going to get foods and probably looking forward to the fact that I'm going to have something to eat. And, you know, just look at some of the other girls around me, they're all really thin. And I just feel fatter. I think that's what, I just felt bigger. And sort of, you know, I think I just didn't feel very good thinking that.
So in that moment you felt like that, and did you decide you were fat?
Yeah, I must have done. I must have decided I'm bigger than everyone else.
Okay.
I'm the biggest. I think that's probably what I felt like. I'm definitely the biggest.
So go way back up above that event, and I want you to go as high as you need to go for it to be so far down there that you're completely separated from what was going on down there.
Okay.
And ask your unconscious mind, what is there to learn from this event? The learning of which means you can let go of that decision and let go of the feelings and change all this.
Do you know, this is probably what happened. I felt upset and bigger than everyone else. Then we went and had food, and I probably ate the food and felt better, and I didn't feel upset anymore.
Okay.
So probably the reason why I might turn to food to make me feel not upset about things or to comfort myself has come from being a 7-year-old child who was just randomly standing in a queue one day and just felt, even though I wasn't, because I've seen pictures of myself, I wasn't bigger, and probably also that, I'm allowed to be different than other people, it doesn't matter. You can't use food to try and comfort, to make yourself feel better.
So, as you look down on that event, we've understood all that's going on. What is there for you to learn now about this event, the learning of which means that you can let go of it all? Anything else, or is that it?
I think that's it, because it makes complete sense now that I would make something up in my head that probably was quite right, but I probably in my head over-exaggerated it, but then immediately went to eat my dinner, which probably made me feel better. I'd never even thought about that before, but just knowing that fact is, it's ridiculous, or that, I over-exaggerate things in my head.
So go way up above it again. Now go before it. So go back before that event. So that event is ahead of you, down there, and in front of you.
Okay.
And now the stuff that happened there. But is that decision you made still there, or has that gone now?
No, it feels gone.
Okay. So now zip back down into that event, and in the light of what you've just learned, what's a new decision for you to make about yourself and about eating?
You can't eat to make yourself happy, and you have to know that.
Well, you can, and it'll work for it'll work for like 20 minutes or something, but it has consequences.
Yeah. Perhaps I think I just need to learn that it's okay to be different.
Different in terms of they were better at some stuff.
Yeah.
You were better at some stuff.
Yeah.
But it wasn't necessarily linked to.
Yeah. That it's just okay to be different.
It's okay to be different.
Yeah.
It's okay also to notice a difference in weight and either just not care, or if you care, do something about it in a constructive way that only does you good, but not in an extreme way.
Yeah, I think that size thing isn't. I think the connection between going and eating food and then understanding the consequences of that just feels completely clicked into place. I remember, another time when we were in the sort of like the playing field, and right at the top of the playing field there was like the end of it, and I was dramatically slower than everyone else. Like they'd all run there, and then I'd be really like out of breath or what have you. Just wasn't very.
You and I should have gone to school together. We could have kept each other company at the back.
And just probably feeling quite like, just feeling that it wasn't really fair that I was slower than everyone else. It's just a different example of maybe when I felt the same type of thing.
Yeah, there's this weird thing at school where like everyone is encouraged to be the same, and actually difference is a good thing. We had sport on a Wednesday afternoon, and I would sneak off and go to this radio station where I sort of helped out with stuff without telling anybody. But that doesn't matter. So close your eyes and go back to that event, and go up above that event, way, way, way up high, and see yourself down in that event, and you're at And staying there, by the way, you do know that most overachievers have something they significantly underachieve in. I mean, Richard Branson's dyslexic. I had speech therapy when I was 5 or 6. I couldn't speak properly because I fell over and knocked my teeth out. And then I went on to do radio and stuff. So this is actually a good thing. But staying above that event and seeing you down there with all that going on, what is there to learn from that event? The learning of which means you can let go of the feelings attached to that event.
Do you know, I weirdly kind of think that I can always remember being quite asthmatic as a child. And I think like in my lungs, I couldn't really breathe very well. But no one...
Some stupid sub made you run around a field, that makes sense.
Yeah, but no one really took any notice of it. Like no one ever turned around and said, well, the reason you can't run slowly is because you can't breathe, child, you know.
Right.
It's not your fault. So I think I need to learn it wasn't my fault.
Right.
That I couldn't run as fast as everyone else. I just couldn't breathe. That wasn't my, you know, sort of like taking... I don't need to take responsibility for the fact I wasn't... Yeah, that's probably what it is. That, you know, it wasn't my, you know, thinking, I mean, it's not your fault that you can't run as, you know, fast as everyone else, and it doesn't really matter anyway, but...
I think we need to go back in time and fire your teachers.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's cool. So go back before that event now, so you see that event ahead of you down there in front of you.
Yeah.
And are those feelings still there, or have they gone
No, they've
now?
gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So zip down in that event. And are the feelings there, or have they gone?
No, they're gone.
Okay. And is there any decision you could make about you and health and weight and life that would be useful?
Just do something about it, you know, just, you know, ask, rather than, you know, keeping things to yourself, you know, probably ask more, ask for help more.
Right.
Or let people know if you're struggling with something.
So you kept this to yourself?
Yeah, I don't think I'd ever have told anyone.
Right, you're good at that.
Yeah.
You've been doing it a long time.
I knew somewhere along the line that, you know, I'm using food for a different reason, and it's got nothing to do with food. It's got to do with me and vocalising, like letting out how I feel about stuff. So, you know, at work, actually, you know, if I don't let people know how I'm feeling, it's going to manifest itself in this particular area. Or if I don't do it with let my family know how I'm feeling, it's going to manifest itself in this area. And if I'm just aware that I just need to let people know how I feel, which probably won't be easy because I've never done it before, but it's a hell of a lot better than...
You've just spent an hour doing it with me, by the way, so yeah. You're pretty good at it. You just need to do it in the right context.
Then I won't feel, you know, have the same feelings of... I can't imagine feeling inadequate or less or bad because, you know, I'll be one thing. I'll be one solid person and not these two separate shells.
When did you last look in the mirror and feel okay? I don't mean think, oh, I'm the perfect weight. I'm just whatever you weighed or didn't weigh, whatever size you were or weren't. When did you last look in the mirror and go, well, that's the deal, and I might want to shift it and change it, but that's where I am?
Never.
You've never done that?
No.
And could this be like? Could you be like, you know, fully dressed and look in the mirror? So if you're in a public place and you go to the loos or something and you walk past the mirror and you...
Yeah, no, never.
Okay. And so if there was a mirror here now, based on everything you've just learned, what would happen when you looked in that mirror?
I'd probably be a lot kinder to myself.
Right.
Because in some ways it's not my fault, you know, and to stop taking complete, ultimate responsibility, stop putting all that pressure on myself, actually maybe give some of that pressure to other people by talking about it. So it would be interesting to see what it's like to look in the mirror with hope in a way, as opposed to fear.
So I'd like you to do something for me,
Okay.
like now, which is you go out this door, turn right, somewhere down there, there's a bathroom. I'd like you to go and look in the mirror. Tell me what happens. I'm not going to follow you.
Okay.
Okay. So you can come back and tell us. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, I feel completely different. Yeah.
You look completely different.
Yeah. Like, it was weird. Like, I literally felt...
Where's that old Katie gone?
I
Who are
literally
you?
felt like, in a way, nothing. It was just almost silent. There wasn't anything in the back of my head saying... So it was quite peaceful. If you haven't got anything there, you know, you've got nothing to worry about. So I didn't feel anxious or worried or anything. Yeah, completely different.
And you said a few minutes ago you can't remember ever doing that.
No, never. Never, ever in my life. I mean, if I could wake up and see that in the mirror every day, I think I'd be happy.
So, Katie, 24 hours since we met. So how you been doing? What have you noticed?
Lots, like so much. Actually, as soon as I left here, I walked past in the lobby downstairs a full-length mirror, and I just glanced at myself, and I was actually shocked by what I saw, because it was about half the size. Really, like, I've almost been, like I said to you yesterday, I went, you know, sunbathed on the beach, and it just didn't cause me any anxiety, and I think that's the biggest thing, is a lot of anxiety seems to have gone. So I was kind of looking down at my limbs going, oh, actually, they're not as, you know, they're not as horrible or as big as I thought they were. And that's a surprisingly different place to what I've thought, almost like it's normal. I can see things for what they are, as opposed to this exaggerated thing that I put on it. Also, I think, you know, at the beach and stuff, I felt more confident. You know, I wanted to go to the toilet, so I just asked someone to look after my stuff. I would have been too scared to go up to a stranger and ask them to keep an eye on my stuff, because I'd be worried about what they'd be thinking about me, like completely ridiculous. And so, yeah, just having the confidence to talk to strangers, because I'm not worried about what they're thinking. And, you know, even when, like, you asked me to sort of notice about how I felt around food and stuff, and I've constantly suffered with this constant desire to eat. That wasn't there yesterday at all. Like, for lunch, I had some, you know, fruit and some vegetables that I'd bought yesterday, and I just ate those, and I felt completely satisfied. Normally, that would never happen before. Normally, there'd be this desire to keep this never satisfied. And then it was wonderful. There was this really nice market outside where I was staying, full of lovely food, tacos and all different types of things. And I walked all the way round, and even though I was hungry, I wasn't like a maniac needing to get food. I just, you know, took my time to walk round and look round and chose the thing that looked nicest and healthiest. And that felt amazing, because, you know, I was in control, as opposed to this internal thing that was driving me. I feel incredible. I really do. I can't wait to go back and start actually living my life and doing something about the size that I want to get to, being separate and something that I can control. I feel completely different, completely different.
So that was 3 months ago, and I have huge admiration both for what Katie achieved and for, I know she feels quite strongly that she would like people to share that sense of possibility, so she very kindly let us play this video. And you may be wondering, that was 3 months ago, how she's doing today. Well, she's here. Do you want to meet her? Say hi to Katie. So, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Jolly good. So, just so we're clear, this old thing, since a teenager into adulthood, you had bulimia. You would eat lots of food and then you would vomit, sometimes several times a day.
Yeah.
Okay. How have you been since we met?
It was quite funny watching that, because to me now it seems completely ridiculous, and it's very difficult to explain just how it's gone, completely gone, vanished. That desire and that monster and that fear literally just goes. It's a bit difficult to sort of like just say it's just gone. It's almost as if that was never a part of my life. Mm-hmm. It's not even something that I worry about, think about, have even desired to do. You know, my everyday ups and downs of life just don't affect me in the same way.
So what's have you noticed any changes? Obviously that's not happening anymore. In addition to that, any changes in your life or? Well,
say for example, one thing that I remembered from watching that was this constant desire to eat, like this constant hunger, which just plagued me and, you know, made me feel pretty down about things. That's gone. So I just feel I have a normal, healthy relationship with food, and I now have a PT who I pay money to train me, and you know, I went out and I did ask for help, and I went to the doctors and I found out I do have asthma, and now I have an inhaler, and hey, I can breathe when I run, and that's incredible. And there's a light at the end of the tunnel now for me with where I want to be, as opposed to having like a ball and chain.
Yeah. And what do you think, that was, as we said, like an edited version, but what do you think made the difference for you?
It was just a realisation of where it came from. It was just a realisation of being 7 years old or being very young and putting the pieces together and just being able to just let go of it, I suppose.
Right. And you, one of the nice things about changing, I'm not sure if it was on the video, but one of the nice things about changing a problem is, to me, that's kind of not enough. That's not boring because it's important, but like that's just the basics. When you shift something like that, you start to get ripple effects in the other areas of your life, because suddenly all that energy and time you were putting into all of that is free to do great things. And as we said, the unconscious mind is very smart. See, you can have a behavior you really don't like, but it's driven by a positive purpose, a positive intention. And when you find a better way of fulfilling that purpose and intention, you start to get a ripple effect. Do you get a sense that you're heading off in exciting new directions, just in life in general?
Definitely. I think going back to the advanced thinking course and just being reminded of some of the stuff this evening about how you can control your own minds and how you can interpret things, and you make that choice. And sometimes I make the choice to feel bad about stuff, and sometimes I make the choice not to. And I think that's a big part of it, just knowing that you can control your own brain. And when you realise that, and not many people do, and not many people do it, you do feel different and kind of more powerful in a way.
At the beginning of near the beginning of the video, you were quite upset because you didn't feel this would ever change at some point. Was it a surprise to you how quickly it happened?
Yeah. It's almost as if it never happened. It's almost as if, I don't really know how to explain it. That followed me around for 15 years and, you know, clearly followed me around from, you know, a young child, and I used to think about it every single day. To be honest, I'd completely forgotten about it. It just doesn't affect my life. It's gone.
And I know you've said to me you think you want people to know about this, and I I just have huge admiration for you. I know sitting here is not the easiest thing for you, and I know I have huge admiration for you, and we appreciate you sharing it. What would you like people to know about possibility and change?
I think I'd want people to know how easy it is to control your mind and how many more options that gives you and what you can then do with it. It's so easy as well. It's not difficult, it's not hard. And also I'm sure we all have stuff that, you know, that's holding us back, that family issues or whatever it is, you'll find that actually it's something really benign that happened to you as a young child that doesn't really make any sort of conscious sense, and you just let go of it and move forward. And this might be something that's holding you back for years.
Right. And you also said on the video that really this was a secret in your life. People, yeah, we've sort of solved that particular one tonight, I think. But it was something obviously you kept to yourself, and your family didn't know about it. How have you sort of dealt with that? Or have you just sort of let it all?
In all honesty, I haven't really made a big deal about it, because I think some of the stuff that we went through that wasn't on there was a little bit more to do with communication and sort of bottling stuff up. And I've certainly taken a conscious approach to, and that's all it is really, like a conscious approach to knowing that, okay, I need to start letting stuff out. I can't bottle it up because it, you know, has negative consequences. So I'm just a lot more aware of me, my own brain, the way that I work, and you know, I just do it when necessary, like at work or at home or with my flatmates or what have you. So.
And am I right, you brought your brother here today? Mm-hmm. So he's going to watch that with you as well. So you found ways of sharing it. And well, first of all, just congratulations. First of all, well done for having the nous to want to do something about it and being willing to do something about it and fly halfway around the world to do something about it. And congratulations on what you've achieved. You did it. It's your brain that's done it. And on behalf of everybody here, just a real huge big thank you for being willing to share it, because I can promise you it's had a ripple effect. So thank you. Thank you so much. You relax now. They're standing up for you. To stay connected with the leading edge breakthroughs in advanced thinking technologies, be sure to subscribe, and we'll make sure you get the latest videos as they happen and you don't miss out. So subscribe now. Also, feel free to share this. There are probably 2 or 3 people at least in your life who would either really benefit from what you've just watched or would find it really, really interesting. And we're trying to spread the word. So just click share below and let them know. And it will only take you a second, but you could actually be having a real impact on people's lives. So subscribe below, and I'll see you on the next video.